Well, hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Aurora, Indiana. This is not Aurora, Illinois. I know there's an Aurora, Ohio. There's an Aurora in Illinois, but this is Aurora, Indiana. And we're looking at an old caboose here from the B&O Railroad. Remember the B&O Railroad? You might remember from Monopoly. It was the board game. It was a real Baltimore and Ohio railroad. It went from, of course, from Baltimore, Maryland through Cincinnati. Went even over to St. Louis. I think it kept going west, the B&O Railroad. And this is an old caboose here. So hey, thanks for tuning in here. Yeah, we're just going to tootle around this. We've been here before, Aurora, Indiana. The Ohio River's right over there. See where that, let me turn the chat on. Paula, how you doing there? Tea time, how you doing there? Prince, thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, here comes a concrete mixer truck there. There's the Ohio River over there. So we'll get over there eventually. My dad had to come down here for to get his glasses adjusted in Lawrenceburg, which is a town there near here, just north of here. We're Aurora, Indiana here. Here's a little creek here. We'll check out this bridge here. This is the George Street Bridge, National Historic Register, 1887. This bridge has been here since 1887. It's a 140-year-old bridge. This is the Hogan Creek, the Hogan Creek. There's the Ohio River right there. Taco jalapeno salsa, thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in and catching me in Indiana here. There goes a boat, there's a fishing boat. So that's US 50, that's US Highway 50, goes all across the United States. And yeah, there's a little harbor in there. People take their boats out fishing in the Ohio River. We'll probably end the live at the Ohio River. That's where I'm going to meet my dad. He's running errands here, so I'm just going to tour around Aurora, Indiana here. We've been here before. If you remember, I got reruns in landscape mode where we went to the Hillcrest Mansion there. We went inside. Here's an old. Is that an old Army car? Look at that. Hold on a second here. That's an old Army vehicle. It has the star on it from the Army from World War II. So we'll see some historic stuff here. Here's the B&O caboose that we saw earlier. And we'll cross the street here as soon as we get the light here, and we'll head into the town here. So I guess I got to hit the button. I can hit the button across here. There we got the light here, so we'll cross. We'll head into downtown Aurora, southeastern Indiana Art Guild Art Show. Family-friendly community here, business district, Main Street. Hey, look at this. They made a sculpture out of the construction cones here. Look, there's the construction pylon guy in there. Orange barrels. There's the orange barrel man here in Aurora, Indiana. It's a nice, yeah, a very walkable town here. There you can kind of see the Ohio River there. See, that's the Ohio River. Kentucky's on the other side. We're in Indiana. We're near Ohio. Christy, good afternoon there. Yeah, Izzy, how you doing there? That's good there. Yeah, people are preaching. Yeah. Good afternoon, Taco and Christy. Duds and Suds Laundry. Aurora Lions Club. Yeah, they got some murals. We'll see some murals on some of these buildings here. We'll go down to historic Aurora. Thanks for just letting me tootle around Indiana here. Yeah, you know, my cousin called me, and he was the one that wanted to go to Cincinnati originally on Friday, and that was earlier in the week. He called me last night. He drives Uber and Lyft, you know, and makes deliveries like Chris. He drives around Cincinnati doing Uber, and I think he's got to work tonight. So we're going to postpone the Cincinnati trip. We'll probably do it later, Sunday or Monday. I'll let you know. Here, Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail. Here, we'll go down the main street here. Yeah, they got some artist shops here. Look at this nice commercial strip we have here in Aurora. Yeah, Raul, how you doing there? Jay. Yeah, the zombie apocalypse. What, is it going to hit in Aurora, Indiana? Is that where the zombie apocalypse is going to happen? Thanks for give us the scoop there. Look at these beautiful storefronts here. Look how they paint the cornices. They, you know, I'm not a big fan of casinos, you know, multiple reasons, but in these towns along the river, when Indiana allowed gaming and casinos, they did some of the casino money went into storefront restoration programs that help preserve some of these river towns. And so Lawrenceburg and Aurora have benefited from the casino. There's the Rising Sun Casino, and then there's the Hollywood Casino in Lawrenceburg. But Cincinnati has since got a casino, just like Chicago's getting a casino. So I wonder how, once there's casinos everywhere, which is already the case, how longer is it continue? But look at this beautiful storefront, Aurora, Indiana here, toys, antiques, comics. Nice stores here. Alexandria. Yeah, look at this toy store here. A good old-fashioned real toy store here. A toy store. And look at that. They got there they got the Woody. There's Buzz Lightyear. look how they use this alley. See, this is nice. You get ideas, and see, even in these small little rural Indiana towns, you got nice urban design. You got the nice benches sitting out there. Lambie T, how you doing there? Margie R. Thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in here. Aurora, Indiana. If you just tuned in, we're in Aurora, Indiana. It's near the Ohio River. It's near Lawrenceburg, and where Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky all meet near the north bend of the Ohio River here. And we're just taking out the main. Here, Hippie Bob's. How you doing there, buddy? How you doing there? Yeah. Yeah, see, here's Hippie Bob's. 1996. Go to Hippie Bob's. What do they got here? And we know what they got here. So even in Indiana. So since I'm on YouTube, I can film this. This is a head shop. This is a head shop in Southeast Indiana. And they got all kinds of glass and things. I'm sure, I know Indiana is not as accommodating as Illinois and Michigan. Ohio is legalized, but not Indiana. But you know, it's almost like this area is surrounded. Here's look at the murals they got up in the windows there. Yeah, I don't know how much it costs. You can look it up on Zillow. We get that question no matter where I go, no matter what I film. People ask the cost of stuff, and so I'm not the best descriptor of cost, because that's not the first thing I think about, because I know everything's expensive. I'm sure this is expensive. I'm sure the cost of living in this town is much cheaper than Chicago, but it's not much different than Cincinnati. So here's there's that bridge we saw. This is Aurora, Indiana. See the Aurora State Bank. That's the old Aurora State Bank. These are typical of the Italianate storefronts you find in Cincinnati and these river towns when this developed. Tall, narrow windows. You see how they actually capped off the windows because they didn't want the long, narrow windows with the glass there. But here, let's Mechanic and 2nd Street. There's some nice churches here. See the Hillcrest Mansion. See, there's houses with nice views on these river bluffs. The Ohio River, and that's where we're at. We got some wind here, so I know it's hard to hear me with the wind. I'm not in Chicago, but we got wind. We did get some rain overnight. Yeah, hit the thumbs up button. If you like this content here, hit the thumbs up there. It's just double tap the screen there. Helps other people find this content. And eventually we'll be back in Chicago. I'm visiting my dad. That's why I'm down here. I'm going to, spend some time with him over his birthday here. Wellington Ice Cream Palace. I like the lions here. I hope everybody's doing well. Look at that clock. There's a clock there. This is Aurora, Indiana. Thanks for the temperature. Yeah, ask a random person. Okay, people are giving me directorial, telling me how to run my live stream there. Get your own live stream and do it the way you want. Don't tell me how to do it. Here, Aurora, Indiana here. I know that's not your intention there. River City Roots. I've never gotten more free advice. Anytime you become a live streamer, you get free advice. People tell you how to They would do things differently, how they would monetize everything. I don't really like talking to people. People don't realize how much of an introvert I am. I really don't have as much social anxiety as people. You know, I know people are like, I don't have social anxiety. If people come and talk to me, I'll talk to them. I enjoy talking to people, but I pretty much try to let people alone and try not to get in their business unless they get in mine. Here's the library. This is the Aurora Library here, public library. Let's check it out here. I don't know if I've ever gone in here. Here's the Aurora Public Library. We went into the Batesville Public Library yesterday, and we saw they're building that new. Batesville is a different town further inland from the river here. Here's Georgiana Sutton in memory of her father and mother. Public Library. Brookville, Indiana has a Carnegie Library. This is not a Carnegie Library. This is just a regular town library. How you doing? Wow, look at the beautiful, look at the ceiling here.
Would you like me to try to get this other one for you?
Aurora Library here. Aurora Lions Club. There's a nice little library. It's got these little rooms. Is my connection okay here? Yeah, oak rooms. Yeah, look at this beautiful library here, Aurora. So hey, with 2 days in a row, we checked out libraries here. Hey, you got the Dewey Decimal System. Hey, they got little. So here's the Hillcrest Mansion. I have a video where we tour the inside of that, and we'll probably walk by it. Here's a map of the town. See, Aurora, Indiana. We'll go down and check out the Ohio River eventually. But hey, it's a nice. Hey, Patrick Stewart.
I'm just looking at the books over here.
Hey, Encyclopedia Britannica. What a nice library. Aurora, Indiana. We'll head back out into the town. Was my connection okay? Sometimes, like on, what's today, Friday? On Wednesday, we went inside that Whipple's there in Sunman, and because it had the tin roof, my connection cut out. And so sometimes I go inside and I lose my connection. That's the only drawback of going inside. Hey, look at the little statue here. Girl reading a book here. Gambles. There used to be a Gambles in Batesville. 1887. It says 1887. Here's the historic downtown Aurora. 1819. Established 1819. Cincinnati was established 1788. It was called Los Santaville, and then it became Cincinnati after Cincinnatus, the Roman leader there, the Society of Cincinnati. And this is just down river in Indiana. You get Aurora. Lawrenceburg was founded first, and then Aurora. These were river towns, the old steamboat era, and then the railroad, the B&O Railroad came through here. And so Sunman and Batesville had the Big Four Railroad. Aurora had the B&O. So here they got some, I think there's a railroad depot over here. Let's see if we can find the railroad depot, and then we'll head a block over and we'll head up towards that hill, and we'll eventually get to the river there. The bathrooms, yeah, I bet the bathrooms are small. Connection's great, good. Thanks, Raul and Lamby T and everybody there. Appreciate it there. We avoided the Skyway. We didn't take the Skyway. We took the freeway to get to the dunes when I was with my aunt there. But yeah, you can take the Skyway. I avoided paying that toll there. Here, Coney Island, Queen there. See, we go to Coney Island, which was on the east side of Cincinnati. That's the old public landing at Aurora, Indiana. That's where we're at. Aurora Casket. Here's some murals, some of the older buildings. Some of these buildings do go back to the Civil War period. And this town does flood. We'll show you some pictures if we get down by the river. I think they have at least some markers that show us how high the river would get. Here's the old train depot. So the old B&O Railroad. This is the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. We're in Aurora, Indiana. You heard of the B&O Railroad? I'm sure if you play Monopoly, you heard of the B&O Railroad. And here's the old Aurora Depot. No passenger trains stop here now, just freight trains go through here. And sometimes the train will rumble through here. It's still an active track. Hey, let's go up to the Aurora Farm and Garden Center. There's the old feed mill there. But here's the business district, the main street of Aurora, Indiana. And we'll get down to the Ohio River there eventually. Thanks for tuning in there. Hey, John, thanks for the gift. I really appreciate it. Thanks for supporting good content here. Terry. This is not Chicago. This is Aurora, Indiana. I am not in Chicago. I'm on the other side of the state. I'm free to travel. I'm visiting my father. I don't know why I have to keep repeating this over and over. I know people taught me about ICE and they'll taught me about the National Guard. This is not Chicago. I'm visiting my father. I am in southeast Indiana towards Cincinnati. And how many times do I have to say it? You know, I will get back to Chicago soon. I'm taking a trip for my father for his birthday. He has to go to the hospital. I have to drive him to the hospital. You want to make fun of me for that? Go ahead. Here's the Aurora Farm and Garden. Look at this nice feed mill. I don't know how we get stuck in this mentality where Americans make fun of other Americans because they have different political views. I guess liberals started that with shaming conservatives, and then conservatives feel an obligation to pay us back, and that was the whole point of Trump's second term, to punish Americans that didn't support him the first time. I get it. Here's Aurora Farm and Garden. Look at this beautiful boot straw hay season garden. Yesterday we were showing Trump flags, and I'm sure we'll run into some Trump flags in Aurora here. Here's and we filmed the Trump Tower in Chicago. Here's Aurora Farm and Garden. Feed, mulch, salt, fertilizer. Yeah, so you can get your mulcher. They got the old... a lot of these towns would have these feed mills like this, where, let's see if we can peek inside the door here. See this thing? You could pull up your wagon or your truck, and the grain would come right out here. Of course, it's located next to the railroad tracks. I'm sure on the back side of this is, see, this is the dock. Look at this. Those are real old timbers. This is an amazing building. The old hoppers. And this has probably been functioning as a feed mill for 150 years. This building here in Aurora, Indiana here. Look at that. They got the jars. See, Sunman, Indiana had one of these, but they tore it down. They tore it down to build the, please use next door. They tore it down to build a Dollar General store, and then the Dollar General store is closed and something else now. Isn't that funny? That's the story of America. But here, let's head back down the street here. Yeah, thanks, Lambie. Let's keep the fight. Yeah, so this is a type of a granary. It's I call it a feed mill, where, yeah, they would unload stuff from the train, and you could ship stuff and get feed for your livestock. Yeah, that's what it is. Here, Aurora, people do have farms around here. This is still a rural part of Indiana, even though it's close to Cincinnati. And that's where my dad lives. He lives in the countryside that surrounds this area. Yeah, it's still old, but it's still working. That's the old, and I'm glad it's still working, because like I said, the town where my dad lives, it's gone. And it was located just like that one, next to the railroad tracks. Here's the post office. So yesterday we filmed the post office in Batesville, Indiana. This is the post office in Aurora, Indiana. There's the zip code, 47001. That's the zip code for the town we're in here, Aurora, Indiana. This is not Chicago. And I know it's confusing because I usually stream from Chicago, but as people often ask me, I did not grow up in Chicago. I've lived there for 26 years, over half my life, but I grew up in this area. That's why I'm back visiting my father, my old haunts of areas where I grew up. We've been here before. Same thing, because I visit my father. That's why we've gone to this town before. Here, they got the fall stuff out there. Everybody get ready for fall. Historic Aurora, Indiana here. And we'll cruise up and down these streets here. And I'm just happy to see this in late summer because we'll see people's landscaping and porches and how they got nice little stuff on their porches, decorating chimes and these historic buildings in Aurora, Indiana, not Aurora, Illinois. I know there's Aurora, Illinois. That's why it's confusing. Chicago has a suburb called Aurora. I think there's an Aurora, Ohio. Just like there's a Springfield, Indiana, there's a Springfield, Missouri. That's why that was the joke of The Simpsons. Springfield, there's Springfield.